Today we've got some work to do, and it all starts with that strawflower patch right there. So let's get right into it. The focus of today's maintenance is the strawflower section, which is right here. This all came from a seed pack that I started back maybe around this time last year. The cool thing about it has been that every time it got too tall and the bloom started dying, I just planed it right down. So what you'll see, and you'll notice more as we remove it, I actually have some stakes in here with twine that's keeping it all together to try to make it a little bit more compact. So what I did is I would come at the string level, chop literally everything off that's above it, and it would just rebloom and resprout. So it's been really nice. It's been flowering all year, like literally entirely through the winter, January, December, it doesn't matter. It's had blooms going on it. But now it's starting to look a little bit sort of stressed. It doesn't look as good anymore. The stems are looking very dark and just not very healthy in general. It's also become too tall and kind of gangly to easily support. And there's not really much going on down there in terms of supporting a sort of ecosystem for bugs and insects, because it's just little sticks at the base with nowhere to hide. So I have no problem at this point cutting it back entirely and resetting it, but we're not going to restart it from seed, because what happened is that I've just been leaving this in here and it's been producing seed like crazy, and these seeds will just kind of fly off, scatter throughout my garden, and start straw flowers everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a couple of the patches where they've really grown very thickly, dig them out, and transplant them in this area. So I have no idea what colors are going to come up because it's just a wild mix of seeds. But I also wanted to quickly mention the pollinator patch right here. It's a really broad mix of things. It came from a packet from Botanical Interest that was just, I don't even remember which one. They have 2 or 3 different kind of pollinator mixes. But it's been really wonderful because, like I said, it's providing a wonderful habitat for insects, bugs. Right now I see bees all over it. And the fact that it's so bushy and dense means that underneath here, there's a lot of space for things to hide. So there could be beneficial insects in there. Birds can kind of jump in and out of there. And I want to preserve this habitat as much as I can. Let's focus back on the straw flowers. We're going to start by removing everything, and then we'll go ahead and start transplanting it. While we're over here, I want to touch on a couple other things. First is this nasturtium here, which has sustained some frost damage, and quite honestly, isn't the type of nasturtium I'm that crazy about. This was one that was self-sown, and I have no problems whatsoever removing it. So let's remove this, and you might be surprised to find what's underneath. Honestly, this might have been a little hack by accident, because this nasturtium provided a sort of greenhouse effect for this poblano pepper. And out of all the peppers in this row, it's by far the best looking. Now, the other ones I have trimmed back for overwintering, but the problem that happened this year was that we got a lot of rain. Now, that's a good thing. I'm definitely happy we got it, but it came very quickly, all at once in January. Now, they might still recover. I'm going to leave them in there a little bit longer to see whether it's a total redo or not. But this poblano here looks fantastic. It has a lot of green growth on it. It even has some peppers on it, which I might actually remove some of, just because it's a little bit early for it to be trying to support all this. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these, and I'm gonna leave one just to see what happens. But this will now be much happier. We're in the warmer part of the year, so it will have a better chance of actually surviving now without this ridiculous nasturtium here to sort of insulate it. Now to figure out how to actually deal with this situation over here. I think the easiest way that I could think of to deal with this is to come in at the base and snip everything off and then just haul this whole section out. All right, so that's the majority of the straw flowers out. So I'm gonna go ahead, toss these aside. You can see seeds flying everywhere. I don't think I mind too much. They're easy enough weeds to handle, but I'm gonna get this out of the way and we'll see what's left. There we have it. Now we have a clean slate to work with. Now you can see behind me there are some other issues that we'll move on to after this task, namely this broccoli. I'm going to talk a little bit about when to walk away from your broccoli, because this one has been harvesting a lot of side shoots for a while, so we'll get into that after this task. I'm going to go ahead and scatter some of the seeds right into this patch again. I really like these pink ones quite a bit. So let's take a look at these seeds. If I had to predict which one had viable seed and which one didn't, I'd say that this one here is probably not ready yet. So let's start with that. Pinch the middle and pull it out. So you can see right here, all the seeds are green. They're not really big. They actually aren't even developed yet. So that's not gonna do anything. So now let's take a closer look at this. If you could see these ones here, they're nice and dark, just like these guys. Those are probably viable seed. The ones in the middle that are kind of a pale color and maybe are a little bit hollowed out aren't gonna be good. So what you wanna see is really dark little tiny cylinders. So all those little dark spots, those are viable seeds. So I'm gonna go ahead and scatter this back in the patch. A lot of the plants over on this side of the pollinator patch have kind of flopped over onto this side. And these I'm not too worried about removing just because they're on the ground and I want to reclaim some of this area back. So I am actually going to go ahead and clean off this. We're finally cleaned up, so let's go dig up some straw flowers and get transplanting. Here's the first straw flower patch we're going to be mining from. It's next to my really weird raised bed combination. But for now, what I'm going to do is take my trowel as deep as I can and just pop them out. So here's what I'm looking at. If I have this little root mass and no soil on it, it's a good chance it will make it, but it's also just going to struggle a lot more. So I have plenty to choose from here. We have this collection first. Let's go grab a couple more from another spot. Okay. Here we are in this crazy jungle of weeds, and I'm actually a little bit scared because there's a whole bunch of stinging nettle here. But what we're going to do, again, is harvest some of these straw flowers. Hopefully these are a different color. Since they're in a different spot, there's probably a good chance of it. I think we have enough now that we could start transplanting. One thing I could say for sure is that my shin right here is entirely full of little nettle needles, so that feels great. But let's get back to the task at hand. We got some straw flowers, we got some clear space to put them in. All we're doing is popping a hole. I didn't even remove the roots of the old plants. Grabbing a seedling, firming it in, a little bit of soil, and there we go. I'm gonna go in pretty dense because I liked how dense they grew last time. So I wanna try to get as close to that as possible. I actually just remembered that I started some new seeds of different varieties. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the transplanting at this section here. I'm going to put all those new seedlings in this area here so we can get a little bit different contrast of color. Here are the other variety that are called copper red straw flowers, so they'll add a nice deeper pop of color. And that's task number 1 complete. So let's move on to this mess right behind me. Actually, there is one final important step to do, and that is to water this in. I did just rip these out of the ground and pop them into a new home. So they're gonna need plenty of water to grow properly at the beginning, but I have done this before and they'll be just fine as long as they get plenty of water at this early stage. The other thing I did is add these stakes right here among the really young seedlings because I don't want anyone to trample them. But that's all that's left to do. So let's get on to that broccoli and cauliflower. I am a huge fan of broccoli, broccolini, brassicas, like cauliflower, and everything in between. But at this point in time, we are now in March, and the taste of it has declined quite substantially. This is something I actually haven't noticed before because I don't think I've ever let my side shoots grow for this long. But as I'm going deeper and deeper into side shoot harvest, I'm starting to notice a decrease in the quality of the flavor. So today's the day that we're actually gonna go ahead and take this field out. And I will go through and try to salvage the little bits that still look really nice for eating, like these guys here. This is just a regular broccolini shoot. And all of these flowered stalks I'm going to give to chickens. You can eat these and they taste okay. They're just not quite as good. It is just a flower, but I have so much of it that I don't really need to eat it. I'm gonna go ahead and sacrifice it to the chickens. They'll be really happy. And I'll collect any of these tasty side shoots that are left. So we'll do a final tally at the end, but now I'm just gonna get right into it. Actually, a lot of people don't realize that you can eat the leaves of broccoli, and they're actually quite good. They get kind of sweet when you heat them up and saute them really quickly with some garlic and oil. So I'll probably grab some of these leaves too and just make sort of a little mini broccolini and broccoli leaf sort of saute. Especially these younger, kind of more narrow leaves are the ones that are gonna taste a lot better. When it comes to actually removing broccoli and brassicas, you wanna get very close to the soil level, and actually you either wanna twist it out, like this one was quite easy, or you wanna cut it at just below the soil level. If you don't do that, it's no big deal, but it will have a good chance of regrowing. So if you don't want it to regrow and continuously keep popping up in your garden, just go ahead and cut it at that soil level. Just in case you haven't actually seen this before, when you harvest your main head of your broccoli, which is what this cut face right here is, you will get a bunch of side shoots. And these side shoots aren't really just side shoots, they're basically whole mini heads of broccoli. So this one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But there you go. This is the second harvest. Actually, this is the third harvest because I've already harvested side shoots before off the same plant. So you get a ton of broccoli from one plant if you let it keep growing after the main head is harvested. There's the total harvest of my broccoli and broccolini. Honestly, not bad. This is gonna make quite a few meals. And I have quite the pile of leftover brassica detritus. So let's bring over some of this to chickens and see if they're interested. All right, ladies, here's some of this flowering broccoli. They absolutely love the flowering parts, and what they'll do is they'll pick off all the little flower clusters. And as a reward for helping me cycle these nutrients, I'm I'm gonna make sure I give them plenty of grubblies here. This helps them balance out the protein a little bit, and it encourages them to actually help me break this down by rewarding them for doing so. But that's it for this video today, guys. It was a little bit of a hodgepodge mix, but I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something along the way. And until next time, I'll see you then.